shirt of the day, trousers with knife-edged creases, highly polished shoes. There was something highly polished about Edgar himself, too. It was impossible to tell his age. He had the fresh, unlined skin of a much younger man, and his hair, though silver, was thick and bouncy. Carl did not believe that the other man had always had the name Edgar Alcott, not even half of it. No doubt there were plenty of people with the surname, but Carl didn't know any. He seemed to recall that his stepsister, when young, owned a book called Little Women by a woman called Alcott, but that was it. He also suspected that Edgar was an adopted moniker. He had no reason for thinking this other than it didn't suit the man somehow. At any rate, Edgar Alcott never gave any information about himself, and somehow one couldn't ask. He was beaming at Carl and politely inquiring whether the visitor would like a cup of tea, or perhaps something stronger. Strangers passing him in the street probably judged him as a harmless old fellow, but Edgar wasn't harmless. The pale blue eyes beneath the arched silver eyebrows glinted like steel. Carl asked for a whisky, because he needed it. Edgar poured it for him, but not a tumbler for himself. "Too early for me, old chap. Soda? Or water, perhaps? A terrible fellow once asked if I had any ginger ale. Naturally, I never did business with him again." Carl replied thank you, but he would drink his whisky neat. Edgar shook his head slightly, but did not otherwise object. Watching him, Carl thought resentfully that his host was a past master at controlling people and situations. Carl always had to make the journey to Oxford to discuss business with him, however urgent, because Edgar, who did not drive, claimed he abhorred train journeys as unhealthy. Besides trains, Edgar also abhorred cats. This had given rise to the one and only occasion on which Carl had seen him lose control. A friendly moggy had perched on Edgar's low wall. Carl was stroking it when Edgar had burst out of the house in a rage, face flushed red, eyes popping, screaming at the animal to get away. The cat had wisely fled. The incident had lasted a few seconds, and then Edgar was his old maidish self again. "Such unhygienic creatures," he'd said to Carl, leading the way back indoors. Now, Edgar, having politely handed the glass to Carl, sat down on a Victorian hooped-back chair, crossed his ankles, folded his very white hands, and asked, "And have you brought me glad tidings? Better still, something tangible? I do hope you have. It's been such a dreary day, and I do need something to cheer me up." "I haven't brought any money, Edgar, sorry. It's just been impossible to raise that amount of cash. I've tried everything." Edgar sighed. "I had such confidence in you. Yet you have let me down quite unforgivably. My dear chap, whatever went wrong?" If Carl had replied honestly, he'd have said, "Just about everything." But he knew it was important to remain outwardly confident. "You'll get your money, Edgar, but it will mean waiting rather longer than we first thought. The company had not anticipated local opposition, but it's being sorted out, and if you'll just have patience—" "Have I not been patient?" Edgar asked, in that mild way that always sent a shiver down Carl's spine. Carl flushed and drew a deep breath. He had to sound calm and self-assured. His whisky glass was empty and he desperately needed another tot, but Edgar showed no sign of refilling it. "I have lost money too," Carl went on. "Please understand that I simply haven't—" But Edgar interrupted. "Enough is enough.